again, everybody. This is Dr. Deborah. Excuse me. Your How to Love Innovator. All right. So, why do we need to learn how to love? That's my bodacious, presumptuous declaration around us needing to learn how to love was had to be from God. Because it's one thing to sit down with a client and they tell you what the problem is. It's another thing you come to the whole world and tell them what the problem is. But I think if you look around, it's not very difficult to conclude that we do need to learn to do something different than what we're doing now. And since love is the greatest of all things, everything, maybe, just maybe, that's the problem. It's not that we don't love. For me, is that we don't know how to love. And I say all the time, they told us what we need to do. The Bible tells us what we need to do. The preacher tells us what we need to do. Our parents tell us what we need to do. We need to love. That's what it says. That's what everybody said. But we still are stuck doing the things that don't work in relationships. Now, how do I know that? Well, first of all, just start at home. Start with the relationship you have with your parents, with your siblings, with the people at work, the people next across the way, the people, and then we're talking people. Now, how about ideas? How about the way the world is, economy, jobs, racism, sexism, all the other isms, classism, sizeism, you name it, there's an ism for it. All of those things and how people are being treated. Now, then, if you get clinical, you can talk about the rise of depression and anxiety, and of course, drug use and all of those things, which has always been a problem. Alcoholism, all of that stuff. Suicide, increase in divorces, just you name it, there is something wrong. Now, let's talk about the religious aspect of it. Church growth has decreased. Either it's stagnant or it's decreased, period. Across the board, black, white, everybody. People don't trust the preacher. They don't trust the church itself. Not the way we used to. Don't get educational and all the stuff that goes on with what we can and cannot read, how teachers are not paid. You name it. There is a need that has not been met. There is something not right. Something has gone wrong. I say we don't know how to love. And it's interesting that I mentioned teachers because I never thought about that before. I never said it, never announced it in one of my videos before. But I thought about when I taught diversity and inclusion for family therapists for 15 years. That's when I realized not only what it takes to get students to be open to other people who are not like them and treat them with respect and honor as if they deserve it, because they do. But it was hard to get them to see that because they have these ideas. They had these ideas about who these other people were. But what I just found myself doing was teaching them the way I respond to them, the way I respond to my clients. And when I realized I was doing that, then it occurred to me. I remember when I first got in the field, I heard some of my older colleagues saying, or more experienced colleagues saying, when they wanted to be heard by one of their colleagues, they would say, treat me like a client. Because when we think about clients a certain way, there are certain things we just do not do. We don't question them. We just ask questions. We don't doubt them. We accept them. We believe them. Okay, so you get my point. So when I began to train students, I realized what it was going to take for them to hear me. And then as I taught them that, I was teaching them, this is how you have to be if you want your clients to be heard. If you want your clients to feel safe with you, this is how you have to be. This is the posture. These are the ideals, the belief systems that you have to embody if you're going to be a healer. So why do we need to learn how to love? I just said it. And I just said, look at your life and your relationships. Just pay attention. Just take a minute right now. Think about somebody you got a problem with or something you have a problem with, and ask yourself, what have I done significantly different than what I usually do to make a change in that relationship, then you know how to love is it. And so, as you think about what it means to learn how to love, where I get this whole idea of radical acceptance from, I'm sure I'm not the only one that's using this term, but quite honestly, I think I made it up. I've said that before because one day it just came to me while I was doing all of this work. Because acceptance is one of the postures, belief systems of a therapist, of postmodern, I would say a postmodern family therapist. We just think people got resources. They come to the relationship with stuff that they don't even, gifts and abilities that they don't even know they have. And we affirm those things and encourage those things and try to ferret those ideas out of the client while we're talking. So, as a postmodern therapist, as a person who's a part of this world and has watched, and don't get me started on things the church historically has done to other people who didn't believe like them. I mean, just, and don't even get me started with the contemporary church. I'm like, I have to say, what have white preachers been teaching? Because racism, if the church was doing this job, and I'm talking about the white church, the black church, if the church was doing this job, there's no way we would still be having some of the same problems we've had since I was born. And of course, before I was born. So clearly, and we've been teaching love the whole time. And that's why I have to conclude, we might have been teaching it, but we have not been teaching it. It has not become a practice. We need church, we need Sunday school. I think I'm preaching. Let me just stop this because this is not the kind of preacher I want to be, even though, guys, I am ordained. But that's not the kind of preacher I want to be. I'm a teacher and I'm an encourager. But I get caught up when I start thinking about the fact that we are having some, we got so many problems that we have not fixed, relational problems that we have not fixed. I'm a relationship psychotherapist. I still supervise students who are interns who are becoming therapists. To heal and to get where we need to go, we have to change how we do it. And again, all you need to do is turn on the radio or turn your computer on radio, the television, the computer on, which brings me to the next thing. I'm going to talk about this next all by itself. The disconnection. I say love is to love is to hold something or someone in such high regard that you make the necessary changes or sacrifices to stay connected to that someone or something. Stay tuned. I'm going to talk about the most disruptive thing that's going on in our world around relationships. And you know what it is. If you're an older person and not a millennial, you know it is AI and social media. Stay tuned. It's scary.